The lead up to any hunting season brings excitement, and probably the expectation to fill your tag on opening day. Neil and I haven't had many deer tags and have had no success since 2020, so we were ready to get Neil's tag filled before Brady and Brandon arrived.
Opening morning. Kind of weird. We haven't seen any other hunters. We've hardly seen any animals. We haven't seen any deer elk. We've seen one big bull elk track and then probably like a doe track on a road. And that's about it.
We drove all over Monogram Mesa looking for anything that resembled a deer, or even a track.
It's middle of the day on day one. It's been weird. We haven't seen anybody. We haven't seen any tracks. We get to do one of my favorite parts of hunting. It's I call it sightseeing history lesson.
From there we headed south through the Dry Creek Basin and ended up on the ridge between the basin and the Big Gypsum Valley. From that ridge we spotted an old cabin and had a clear view of the Sunday mining complex across the valley. Down on the bottom of Hand Canyon, we came across the old workings of the Mexico mines. By the end of the day, we'd covered more than 70 miles and still hadn't seen a single hunter or animal. Day 2 was a new day in the Big Gypsum Valley.
Day 2, we changed spots. We went a little further south. And good sign on the way out here, we saw lots of deer, lots of elk alongside of the highway. And where we're at, you can see there's a pond behind me. I walked up here. I got Neil parked out a ways. I'm up here just seeing what kind of sign there is up here.
Around the pond we found plenty of tracks, elk, deer, and coyotes, oh my. One set looked like a bull elk that must have come through early that morning, and on the way in we'd seen the fresh rub he left on a nearby tree. After driving as far as we could in Jip, we pushed on toward Natarita Ridge and the old burn up there. By the end of the day, we'd spotted a doe and 2 fawns near the ranger, a few birds, and more than enough fresh elk and deer sign to keep us hopeful. And of course, on the drive home, the minute we crossed into the private fields, there were deer everywhere. Neil and I took a break Friday morning, waiting for Brady and Brandon to show up. As soon as they pulled into the driveway, we loaded up and headed out for an evening hunt. But before we got too serious, we had to start things off the right way, with some hunting snacks. After some barbecue Vienna sausages, we rolled into the national forest bordering the burn and almost immediately spotted a buck. Just a little 2-point, but still, buck's a buck. Brady and I continued further down the road, leaving Brandon and Neil posted up in case we pushed anything their way. We ended up spotting a few more bucks and some does crossing the road, but never got a clean shot. We also ran into plenty of other hunters doing the same thing. Day 4 was time for a Hail Mary. We had 2 days left in the season, and while we were finally seeing deer, we were seeing plenty of other people too. So we decided to try an old spot Neil hadn't been into for years. Worst case scenario, we don't see anything. But the moment we drove in, there was a small buck and 2 doe standing right in the road, feeding without a care in the world. We sat there in the dark watching them, and they just kept feeding, completely unfazed. Brandon, Brady, and I stepped out to make a game plan, and the deer started feeding towards us, still not bothered, closing to about 30 yards. As shooting light got close, the buck and does finally slipped over the hill, and more does appeared further down the road. After some silent, sign language style communication with Neil, we came up with a plan. Brandon and Brady would walk down the ridge toward a few parks. and Neil and I would wait in the Ranger and give them 10 minutes before easing along the top. As soon as Neil and I came over a ridge, we spotted a group of deer, with a 4-point buck in the mix. Neil filled his tag about 15 minutes into shooting light. Down the hill where Brady and Brandon were set up, they had some excitement of their own, along with a little disruption thanks to the ruckus we had caused.
Right now, Grandpa Neil has a buck down. That would be a decent size. And we're just going to see if I shot at a big one. Just going to see if I hit it.
As we were getting ready to head out, Neil spotted a line of deer in a tree line. Naturally, Brandon and Brady took off after them. Right now, I'm walking out to where Brady shot a big 2-point. I'm going to go out and help. Brady shot his deer 500 yards from where Neil shot his. While Brandon and I started dragging it towards the Ranger, Brandon headed back to the truck to get the sled. Along the way, Brady spied a couple nice antler sheds that were Neil's deer from last year. What are the odds of finding those? Grandpa and grandson had both filled their tags on the same day in the same area. We had some work to do back at the house, but what an experience. Sunday was a day to sleep in and sightsee, so we headed back to Monogram and down into the bottom of Bull Canyon to see Indian Henry's cabin. Henry Huff was a well-known local prospector, rancher, and cowboy in Bull Canyon in the early 1900s. He was adopted by a settler family in Paradox Valley, did cattle work, and staked mining claims in the canyon. Legend says he may have hidden money from his mining ventures near his cabin. But in 1917, he was tragically murdered during a card game, making his cabin and life a piece of lore. I guess the road in and out of Bull Canyon made Brady and Brandon a little nervous. I didn't seem to have any issues with it. Well, I guess it is a little rough. Once we got back to the top of Bull Canyon, we headed to the Ura mine. This is the uranium mine Neil worked at from 1968 to 1969.